Okay, hello everyone. I'm creating this video for chapter 10, mid-level 1. This was the question that was asked from one of the students from section B. This is related to adding calculated column in the Power Query editor. And then when you save it, for some students, it was showing up in their Excel worksheet, but for others, it was not showing up in the Excel worksheet. So I will just show you when it does show in the Excel and when it does not, and what are the different ways to add data to data model. And depending on how you're adding the data, it just makes a difference of how it is going to look like in the Excel worksheet. So I will not do the whole grader, I will just do that question. That question was part of mid-level 1 grader, and that is you were supposed to import data from the inventory table and then add a new calculated column to calculate the total value of inventory. So I'll just quickly show you different ways to do it. So what I taught in class is go to data, and then that is this text file that we have to get the data from. Um, okay, I'll just quickly load it, inventory, and I have loaded the data here. Now, there are some things that could change right this step onwards, that how your data is going to look like. So if you just click on the load button, a new sheet will be created and it will be added, but that will not be added to the data model, which means if you, instead of clicking on the load button, click on the load arrow and go to load to, you will see the option of saying add this data to the data model, which means if you click it and add this data to data model, when you click OK, this data is added to the data model, and that's how it looks like. Another way to add data to data model is, so now if you go to here and go to Power Pivot and see add data to data model, it has been added again, which means it was already here when you clicked on the add data to data model checkbox. But now when I click again, it says 1 because it has been added once again. So I don't want that. I'll just delete that because it was already added. Now next is I'll do another way to add the same data to data model, but not using this method. What I'll do, I will again import a data from the text file, same file. We will just name it differently. I'll just load it. A new sheet has been added. It looks exactly the same. It is named as inventory 2. Now, if you click on the Power Pivot and click on add data to data model, it says _2 and it has been added over here. So now, sorry. So now if you look at both the sheets, both look exactly the same. Click on the first one, that is the one that you created. I'll just name it as added later. I don't know why I changed that because the name was already different. Anyway, so let's look at the first one. And the question was to add a calculated column. And we want to see a difference why for some students it was showing over here and why for some students it was not showing. So let's go. I'll go to the manage, and in the manage, let's look at the first one. I'm going to add a column. I'll press equals, multiply quantity on hands by unit price, and then you get the total value. And after that, I'll just save and close it. Then so notice that you see the calculated column 1 in this case. But when I go in here and add the calculated column in the 2 in the second one that I added later on equals this multiplied by this. Then you see the calculated column over here as well. You close it, but you won't see the column reflecting here. And the reason is how you get to know if it is going to show or not. The reason is the link for the queries. If it is linked to the queries from this section, then it is going to show the calculated column. Otherwise, it is not. So, which means if you do want to see the calculated column on the worksheet, you need to make sure that it has been added to the data model. The query has been added to the data model. So, which means if you right click on load to, you will see this box checked. For example, for the second one that you added later, click on load to. This one is not checked, which means this query was not added to the data model. The table was, but there is no connection. So whatever you're doing will show up still in the backend, and that is also correct. If you just want to see in the Power Pivot, you will still see the calculated column here. But if you want to see it in this area also, that means you just need to make sure that your data is added to the data model. Another another way to load it is when you go to the query, you can load to. So if I am in the add to, load to, you can do the same again and click on this checkbox, and then this will be added to the data model. And that's why for some students, they had the calculated column on the right hand side and some did not. So that made all the difference. But it doesn't matter which way you did, both are correct because you did add the calculated column and it was showing the calculations.